I can't even right now, actually. This is what you fucks came for. I'm convinced this week. And I get it, okay? It makes perfect sense to me. I've been holding this rage in, half of it anyway, because the other half I displayed yesterday in a very uncivilized finals party. Let me a quick rundown. Hold on. Trillions here, if you care. I
Hi.
don't. I'm just gonna talk I need you to give me about 5 to 7 minutes to unleash harder than Skip Bayless right now. Because a lot of these nerds in the comment section have been waiting all day for this, and I get it. A quick rundown for those that do not understand. The NBA Finals ended yesterday. It's a basketball event between the Golden State Warriors and the Toronto Raptors. Yes, it's an American league, but we were nice enough to let Canada join because we were fucking desperate to make the teams even. The number of teams, that is. So they played yesterday, and the Golden State Warriors are from my state. They're my home team, my hometown team. From the Bay Area. They're from the Golden State. They're from Cali. And they had a dynasty going. They've won the past many years, and it's this year. A lot of people are cheering and celebrating, even people who don't fucking know basketball, because somebody finally dethroned them. And it just so happens that the team that dethroned them was once known as the Baby Dinosaurs. The fucking Toronto Raptors won. And people think that the sky is falling now for the Warriors and that it's amazing. And you know what? Props to Canada, right? Because I think they lost, like, when something big happened in hockey, and the Canadian team for hockey for the NHL lost as well. So right, Toronto doesn't care about that. They just care about beating us, and that's fine. But I'm not gonna give in to you nerds. All right. Here's the fact of the matter. I've never been the guy that goes shoulda, woulda, coulda. But you beat us without all of our horses. Kevin Durant doesn't go down. It's a completely different series. He's better than Kawhi. He's the best player in the world. Shut up if you have any other opinion. Klay Thompson goes down with a torn ACL. By the way, Kevin Durant goes down with a torn Achilles. The two most devastating and most difficult injuries to come back from in sports. You leave Steph Curry on his own with a busted DeMarcus Cousins who couldn't find the rim if he had a magnifying glass. And you give him what the fuck else does he have? He has Draymond Green, a donkey who literally is trying to draw fouls on fat Kyle Lowry at his back. This is blasphemy, and I don't care. Okay, Toronto wins because you play who's in front of you. That's the fact of the matter. But that doesn't stop history from constantly going back and debating what could have been. And what could have been is the Golden State Warriors dynasty three-peating the way that it was intended. So, but as we all know, as the saying goes, the basketball gods look favorably in different ways. So when they give, they must also take back, and they take in this regard with injuries. So they gave the Warriors a bunch of injuries. Toronto just had more men, and contrary to popular belief, when it comes to the underdogs, the quote unquote Canadian underdogs of this series going up against an entire country. How about the Warriors actually going up against an entire country? Because a lot of people from America wanted to see the Warriors dethroned because they keep going to the finals. And then we're up against Canada, essentially, as well. But also, contrary to popular belief, the Raptors are not scrubs. All right. Everybody likes to mention the Warriors have 4 or 5 All-Stars, right? They should win every single chip. The Raptors, get this, also had 4 All-Stars. Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry, if you can believe it, Serge Ibaka, and Marc Gasol. I'm pretty sure they're all All-Star material. They've all been on All-Star teams. So I don't want to hear this. The Raptors won, and congrats to them. Congrats to Drake. He can finally release new music because of it. This man out here on the sidelines, he didn't even want to show up to Oakland because he knew he was going to get heckled. He knew he got asked by the NBA specifically not to show up. But have you seen Drake on social media? Oh yeah, he's all over the place acting like this man just played 40 minutes and played his heart and soul out, and he was the one. They came back with the trophy. And we already know Drake is going to get his ring before even Kawhi does. So I don't want to hear it. Toronto wins. Congrats. Warriors will be back next year or not. Who knows? Who cares? The fact of the matter is, everyone live in the moment. Shut the fuck up and let's get to the show. Take off the glasses because this is some serious shit.
Welcome to the Soul Grinder, people.
It's not a good day. I don't know why I even look at the comments. It just it puts me in an even worse mood right now. I thought I had a day to recover.
No. That's just silly.
Yeah, here's another thing. Drake is a bandwagon fan. You know, going up against Golden State like he ain't got a tattoo of Steph Curry and Kevin Durant on his arm. You know, see you in the Bay, Aubrey. Yeah, Drake didn't even show up to the Bay. And like I said, that's fine. That's fine. Toronto has their moment to shine. You know, it's a shame that they still couldn't get LeBron through a busted LeBron team ever. As a matter of fact, the Warriors got through LeBron with and without the help. So there's that. Yeah, we had KD. Yeah, you build teams, and it is what it is. You know, I don't think it's the end. I don't think it's the end for Toronto. I mean, if Kawhi leaves, it's the end for Toronto because come on. But now everyone's gonna be on that ass. But we'll just see. We'll see. I'm in a good mood today, guys. Let's have some fun on this stream, okay?
Dude, I don't need you to say anything. You got this. You got this. You can just keep talking.
The longer I speak, though, the more I give. You know when they tell bullies, you know, don't give them attention. I've never been a big believer of that, but I know it's exactly what these dweebs want. You know, look at these, you know, invalid to official KD to my Knicks. KD ain't going to no Knicks, the most dysfunctional franchise in the entire sports world, besides arguably the Suns or the Lakers. Come to think of it, and why would he go to the Knicks? I thought the whole pair was supposed to be with Kyrie, and Kyrie is going to Brooklyn. So you're wrong.
No, okay. Let's move on from this. Let's just let the comment section.
One more. Sure. Zachary saying, you know, don't try to use the injury excuse. Y'all Golden State Warriors did care when LeBron lost, or did care when Kevin. No, wouldn't it be we didn't care? No, I was one of the first to mention this. Listen, you play who's in front of you. All right. I've never been a shoulda, woulda, coulda guys, or one of those guys, but you play whoever the other team puts out there, and whatever happens, whether it's unfortunate or not. And I'm willing to take this L like a man. But look, telling people not to use the injury excuse never works because everyone always uses the injury excuse. Everyone has perfect 2020 hindsight, right? So it really doesn't matter because the Warriors did beat LeBron with and without the help. And then they also lost to LeBron without their help, I guess, without Kevin Durant. So be happy, right? You know, you got to see both sides of the coin. You got to see history made, and you got to see history made last night as well when Canada won their first NBA championship. Yay! I'm actually somewhat proud for Kawhi because I like Kawhi Leonard a lot. I thought his relationship with the Spurs was a little bit on thin ice at times, but he's found a new home. Or not. Like I said, nobody knows what Kawhi thinks. He's the Terminator. He is literally a living robot. And let's move on. Let's move on. No more comments from me for the rest of the night.
All right. So first thing I want to talk about, unrelated to sports, is Apple. and their new like creative piece, their new white aluminum stand for $1,000. So, are there any Apple fans around here? Because if you are, I'm sorry.
Can Apple fuck off, please? It's like I'll take their phones and I'll take their laptops, but that's where I draw the line. And I almost drew the line if I would have known this before buying that the MacBook Pro of MacBook Pro 2017 does not have a USB port. You have to buy one. You have to buy a dongle to connect to the side of the laptop in order to be able to connect USBs into it. And it's the fucking dumbest baloney shit you could ever imagine. It's like they're adding steps to things that should already be convenient. And I suppose that's where Microsoft has an edge, if you would consider them. But Apple just needs to stop. Stick to making a phone every year that's just like a couple inches bigger and can recognize your face now, and you can have intimate conversations with Siri. That's about no, not you. Oh my god. Okay, I actually need to, because I assume I'm gonna bring up. Probably should have unplugged Alexa too, but no, shut up. No. Okay. I have all these AI in my room spying on me, and I didn't know this because I got a new phone, got the new iPhone RX, I believe, or XR, and it's to the point where Siri, you don't even have to like you can push the button on the side, this button on the side here to turn her on, but to turn her on to talk to her, but. You might as well not even do that. You can, if you just talk loud enough, she'll also appear. And it's disturbing because that lets me know that the phone is listening to me. It's different with Alexa or the Amazon thing, because that's what she's supposed to do. But with Siri, it's just very creepy. And I assume it's also creepy that there are some people that are considering paying $1,000 for a stand. A bunch of hipster twats that are just they'll dick down anything that Apple puts out.
No, I'm like, let's say you buy the stand. Let's say you buy the whole set. Like what? It's a car price, right? $10,000 for the entire thing, and it's supposed to be marketed for editors and all that. And the funny part to me is like a lot of people will buy it to flex. I know that much. A lot of people are rich who are gonna buy it just to say, "Oh, look, we have the $10,000 thing. Look at how fancy we are." But I've never heard anybody getting chicks from like fucking PCs. Oh hey girl, look at my PC, 10,000, right? And how many people are going to spend their life savings to flex? How many? Like to me, it's mind-boggling that this is even a proposal. Because if it is a proposal, that means something that's very simple. The marketing team thinks this is a valid tactic of selling, meaning they expect to make money, meaning that they know their audience is so gullible at this point, they'll take anything that with the Apple brand on it.
Dude, there's a reason why I only wait. Or there are people that only wait a year between getting phones, and they're Apple phones typically. The people that wait outside in a line, they camp out weeks before the phone is supposed to come out. Meanwhile, there's a reason why I only get a phone when I absolutely have to. The last phone I had was an iPhone 6, and I got it a year after the iPhone 6 came out. So at that point, the 7 was the big deal. So that's about what? That's a good 4 or 5 years, right? And the only reason I needed a new phone is because it started acting up. The battery was dying, like the home screen wasn't working, so you couldn't swipe. So I took it right to AT&T, and the guy's like, "What's your like?" They're always so condescending. It used to be only the Apple Store. Now it's AT&T. It's like it's like the assholeness has crossed over to them. And he looks at me like, this is the phone? And I'm like, yeah, it's a 6. I'm not one of those incompetent losers that like takes his phone to the bathroom and drops it in the toilet. I take care of my shit and I know what I'm doing. But he gives me this look of disdain and like nerdy disappointment. Like, you have the 6. Like, yes, you prick. What do you expect? Like, do you know iOS doesn't even update anymore for the 6? I'm well aware. That's why the fuck I'm here.
Well, speaking of updating, well, this Samsung Galaxy S7, and I see you, Invalid, you have good taste, you have the Galaxy S6. This thing I expect will last me like a horribly long time, to the point where I'm like, I will probably change phones at a certain point just because I'm bored of it. 6 years down the line, I still expect this thing to work and to be updated because it's Android. You fucking piece of junk buying an iPhone after the iPhones. How dare you, Louis? How dare you? You're a traitor to your people.
Dude, Androids are so ugly. Shut up. Don't at me about that. They feel clunky. They don't feel good. When I use them, it feels like AIDS in my hand. That's what an Android is to me.
You fucking what, mate?
I said I don't like Android.
Fine. Opinions. Assholes. Fine. Fine. As long as... That's one thing. I can't win against you, Louis, mainly because you just say that you don't like them. We don't say that they're what's better and what's worse.
Because I don't know. I don't care, honestly. A phone is... I'm not the guy that like wants... There was somebody who told me that's like, you should get a Samsung because it has this temperature gauge for something. And I'm like, why the fuck would I ever need a phone for that or want my phone to have that desire? Call me old-fashioned, but I mainly use my phone to call and text and FaceTime and watch YouTube and use apps and Discord and Facebook once every blue moon and Instagram and Twitter once every 2 blue moons and emails and take pictures and take videos and occasionally shoot YouTube videos and occasionally stream on them and watch Twitch. I only use phones for the bare minimum and necessities.
Yes, and you got how much do you pay for this iPhone?
$750.
All right, you paid $750. If all you need, like I personally do use the same as you.
I'm not getting a flip phone. Okay, I'm not my grandma.
I overpaid for this. I should have gotten, I guess, like a $100-$200 phone because that's what my needs. Like it suffices, right? And anybody who just texts and whatever, like texts, watches YouTube, they shouldn't spend too much money on their phone. Yet people are. And that pisses me off because I don't want all the fancy Samsung features. I just want a phone that once I buy, I forget. Well, guess what? The iPhone 6 lasted you, what, 5 years, and you took good care of it. My brother is much similar. He switched to Samsung, but he took good care of his iPhone too. And apparently every iPhone 6 in the world in unison started breaking. And that tells me one thing. Apple turned the switch because they know you're going to buy the new one now. And you fell for it.
Oh, and you don't think Samsung, which literally copies everything that Apple does, has some sort of alternative to that?
No, because Samsung don't care.
Now, to be fair, I could have kept using the 6, but I don't think like battery charger or touchscreen is something they can just flip a switch about. It'd be different if it was like iTunes isn't working, or I understand iOS wasn't updated anymore. That kind of pissed me off because I couldn't get all the new emojis. So really? Instead, people are sending me stuff, and I'm getting those question marks in a box, and I'm like, I can't, I don't know what it is.
And you're saying this is ugly. What you're saying is ugly, Louis. How dare you?
Trillion, your beard is ugly. It needs to be oiled. That's number one. But we're not going to get into personal attacks right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna spare you the Warriors disses, right? I'm gonna spare you that.
You don't
But
even watch Basketball Trillion. That's why you were but silent the entire time as I was educating these filth in the comment
Louis,
section.
Louis, it's very simple.
Specifically, Zachary saying.
Louis, it's very simple. You're upset that a team that you have no real influence on, besides being woo lost. You're ridiculous.
I've met Klay Thompson, so.
Oh, you shook his hand?
And by
You shook
met,
his
I
hand?
mean that he high-fived me once and kind of looked at me when I had courtside seats in 2012.
Much like what a butterfly effect. That high five probably is the reason why they lost. Had you not given the high five, chances are they would have won this year. No injuries. See what you did to your idols? See what you did, Louis?
Trillion,
dare
you are minced words away from a muting. I will not revisit this. I thought we were past it.
What do you mean? What do you mean iPhones are better for music? Like Spotify works everywhere, and you put headphones for music. How is it better for music? iTunes, fuck iTunes.
To be fair, I use Spotify over Apple Music. I don't know what the difference is in price range or anything, but I don't know, like Drake or Taylor Swift having exclusive songs on Apple Music a day before Spotify is not a selling point for me.
I clicked Spotify and never looked back. iTunes, I paid for it once, and I realized I was a dumbass, and then I stopped. Like, that's fine. It's fine. It's just every time somebody buys an iPhone, they're supporting a company that is willing to give you a PC with very good specs, mind you, but with the price of a car. So, forgive me. Like, I can't respect Apple. I cannot. I spit on their face.
No one respects Apple. It's only the rich circle jerking hipsters that worship Apple. Everybody just gets them because it's the mainstream thing to get.
And that's
right?
dumb.
It's like Coke. People drink Coke over Pepsi.
Dude, it's like the Starbucks argument all over again. Starbucks sells you shit, and
that's actually a good analogy, though, right? Like Apple is, well, I wouldn't say they're as bad as Starbucks, but in some semblance, they are the Starbucks or the McDonald's of phones, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember I hated coffee from the outside. You know, like coffee I don't make at home because of Starbucks. Only when I got introduced to other coffee joints that don't write your name in a cup. Those fuckers they're great, right? They're delicious. And then you go to the fancy ones, the ones with the kind of sourness. You start becoming a coffee connoisseur. But then you go back to Starbucks. I can't even drink their lattes. Their coffee's so bad. Like lattes already, like you're not drinking coffee. You're drinking like milk, and I can't even drink that off Starbucks. I would, if I was dying of thirst, I would not get my water from Starbucks. I'm that offended by the brand.
The only thing I get at Starbucks, and it was because my mom always used to take me through the drive-through after school when I was younger, was she would always get herself a mocha frappuccino. So I remember the first time I went to Starbucks on my own volition was when I was like 17, and I could find. So I finally drove over there, and I was like, this is the only thing that I know is on the menu besides hot chocolate or just normal coffee. Although I assume you can't just walk up to Starbucks and say, can I have a normal coffee? Whatever that means. So I asked for a mocha frappuccino, and that's the only drink I will tolerate from them. And even that I have seen done better. You're right. In like mom and pop joints or outside coffee joints.
Almost always, period. Like any other like coffee place is better than Starbucks. And Invalid Dunkin' is all right. Their coffee's all right. Not the best, not the worst. Goes well with the donut. Like it's just um, Starbucks like is cancer, right? It grows. I still hold a grudge. There was a great coffee joint at my college back in the day. It was called Coffee Republic. It was Italian coffee. I loved it. It was extra bitter. Their shots were super. You take a double espresso and you're ready for the day. It's amazing. And then they closed it. And what did they put? They put a fucking Starbucks. And I still hold a grudge. Ugh, just my heart. My heart goes to Coffee Republic. F for respect or whatever.
The main problem I have with Starbucks, like I have a problem with most of anything else, is the fan base, right? The people that pretend Starbucks is anything out of this world, even more so the people that are suckered into wasting thousands of dollars a year that they could have otherwise saved on Starbucks, right?
Oh
Like
yeah,
if
they
you
go
get an
like this.
espresso machine, right? There are ways to you could make your own coffee.
Dude, I punched in the numbers. If you get your own machine, you're. It doesn't matter where you get your coffee from. If you get the machine, you are saving money. It's that
You're
simple.
easily
Saving
saving
so much.
thousands here.
Yep, yep. Like I go to my local store and I can get like a box of coffee that will give me at like depending on how much I put, like I don't know, 500 servings, 300 servings. Let's go cheap. Let's go 50 servings. 50 servings. I get them for about $10. This coffee. The machine I have that gives me black coffee, just regular black, in whatever quantity I want, I bought it for about $60. I can get a fancy espresso machine for $90. So like you can put that within the calculations, right? And then you take all that you take the equivalent and then you realize that I save in 3 months if I take one coffee a day, which I do, I save like hundreds of dollars a year on this. And I'm a 1 cup, 2 cups per day guy. So if somebody is like a coffee addict, 3, 4 cups, or um, even worse, they get their mochas and their frappuccinos and their malafinos and all those fucking fancy names, and the price jacks up because it's not just coffee, it's milk and syrup and chocolate and your name on it and all that shit. And next thing you know, you wasted hundreds on a liquid you could have easily made at home for better quality. And it's just, ugh, just nobody knows this. That's what pisses me off. It's like, when you tell this to people, they're like, life hack. I'm still going to get it from Starbucks anyway because it's convenient. Fuck convenience. Quality,
Yeah,
people. Quality.
no, see, you have to stop this at the root of the problem, right? Which is, my opinion, the teenage years. You could argue the parents because so many people are dependent on, similar to fast food, raising their children on Starbucks. And so it turns into a routine and a very unhealthy habit. But that's the least of the concern, right? Over time, you're going to realize how much money you are sacrificing. But it's one of those necessary expenses to people, even though it clearly isn't. Like the people that justify having to spend money for Starbucks are the same people that justify having to go buy the new iPhone every year. Hence the analogy.
Or worse, having your parents buy it for you every year. That's the
Yeah.
painful one for me. It hurts because I like, to me, I was embarrassed whenever I asked my dad for anything. Like, I remember I wanted the PS3 for 5 years. And if my dad knew, he would have got it to me right away. I knew that. But I was embarrassed. I played with my PS2 and kept on it until my dad wanted to buy me an iPhone. I remember it was back when I didn't get the touchscreen thing. I hated touchscreens. So my dad was like, I'm going to get you an iPhone for your college. And I'm like, no. I don't want this ridiculous touchscreen thing that will never catch on, right? Um, and he was like, well, you need a phone. I'm like, how about I just get a regular phone, and for that money you're gonna get me for the iPhone, I just buy a PS3, and I'm okay with that. He accepted, and he also he still got me an iPod back when that was a thing. I don't know if it's still a thing, but idea is my dad had to force me to buy to get me stuff,
Yeah,
and then
indirectly, kind of talk you
right,
into it.
yep, and then I look at other people who like beg their dad for like I don't know a Dodge, you know,
For
they're
no,
like a
for Fortnite skins. Yeah, like
oh, okay. You went. I was still thinking practically.
no.
You
I'm going to the extreme, as in I'm imagining 10-year-olds with bricks in their pockets because of how big these phones are getting. And they're asking for the latest versions. It's not like they go into the store and they're like, "All right, Timmy, this is your first phone, so we're just like somebody's first car. We want to get you something that's like maybe not used, but kind of cheap." No, there are fifth graders walking around with monster phones and touchscreen. They have all the apps. They have, like they have iWallets on it or whatever, however you pay on. Right? They have everything, and they have like the parent's credit card ingrained in the phone as well. So whenever they want something, they can reasonably buy it. And then
you
the
know
bill comes, and it turns out that yeah, you did spend, or your child did spend like $200 on fucking Fortnite skins. Yes, or last month. It happens. It's a thing here. Now, cars are a difficult one for parents because I've heard parents trying to reason with their teenagers because that's when you start asking for them, right? And with themselves, as far as what car they're going to get. It's like as a parent, they know that you're at that age. You not only want, maybe you don't need a car, but you want a car. But this is one of those opportunities where teenagers have the ability to be choosers, right? Beggars can't be choosers. No, these 16-year-olds, they will ask and they will be like, well, I want a cool car. Because they know they've been that age before. Like they know that you're trying to impress the bitches, that you're trying to get someone's attention, that you're trying to pull up. The way I bypassed this was I got a Saab, which is a Swedish car, for those that are not aware. And it's a Swedish luxury brand. And it made me feel different and special. And that's why my dad got it, because he was like, you're not going to be the kid driving around in like a normal beat up Honda Civic, I guess. But you're also not going to be like that prick that's driving around in like a BMW that's way too out of it's. My dad could afford it, but he just didn't want to get me that because there's always, it runs the risk of like, it's your first car. What if you crash it? And thankfully I never crashed it, but believe me, I know plenty of people that had way more expensive cars and they drove holes into restaurants because of how bad they were doing something. So it's a tricky spot and something that I tell upcoming parents to look forward to.
no. Here's the thing. All of this boils down to people wanting to flex. Fortnite, cars, iPhones, and whenever you tell them you don't need to, they always come to you with the same answer, which is if they like. It's like it reminds me of a time my mom went to a wedding. My mom is not a makeup person. She doesn't like makeup, right? She puts a little bit, but not just to give flavor, as you say, but never too intensely. Whenever she goes to a wedding, she has to go to a professional to paint her face, right? And I'm like, Mom, you don't like makeup. Why are you applying makeup? She's like, because if you go there without makeup, you're gonna get butchered. I'm like, what do you mean you're gonna get butchered? What are they gonna do? What are they gonna say, right? And I started to realize, as my sister explained to me, that you kind of need to like at least like my mom and my sister do the same thing, which is they mini flex. They do the bare minimum to get away with it. It's like buying the iPhone, the inferior version of the iPhone. there's the iPhone whatever, and then there's the iPhone for cheap people, and that's the mini flex, and they get away with it. And in my head, I'm like, no, it's fine, right? Nobody cares. Okay, what they're gonna talk behind your back? Oh, Martha was really cheap. She doesn't even have an iPhone. Fucking casual, right? Let them flex, or let them whisper how much you suck. Who fucking cares? It will affect nothing. Nothing. It's like who cares? I still can't comprehend this. It pisses me off. Like that you have to conform to a standard. And if you don't conform to that standard, somehow the consequences are dire. I get a dress code, like a suit to a job. I get that. You have to be professional. But having an iPhone is not related to professionalism. It's just social flexing. And it's unnecessary. You can't afford it. You must not do it. Must, I say.
And I never understood the phone one too. Because the phone situation is everybody has a phone these days. And if you're in the range of like the Samsungs or the iPhones, they all look alike. They honestly look the exact same. Right? They all have, like, if you showed your phone and my phone, they both have touchscreen.
Yeah.
Like, what more do you really want from a phone? Oh, it's bigger and the quality of the camera looks better. It's like you're not a professional photographer. I know that Apple or like the smartphones kind of brought about this idea that everyone can be a photographer now. Actually, maybe that's Instagram's fault, but like everyone can be a high quality photographer now. It's like you're not. But aside from that, flexing with a phone is so pointless. Everyone basically has the same thing.
It reminds me of something my dad told me about rich people in Kuwait. Back in the day, like we have our traditional dress, right? And back in the day, the fabric used to matter. So richer people would get better fabrics. But then it reached a point in Kuwait where it doesn't matter what fabric you get. At a certain point, the quality between like Japanese fabric and German is indistinguishable to the regular eye. So nobody cares anymore. So what they did is they started getting watches, Rolexes and shit. But the Kuwaiti flexing, because flexing is a big thing in Kuwait, everybody started getting Rolexes too. People went into debt to get a Rolex, and so they're like, okay, then with our cars, let's get the BMWs and let's get the fucking Ferraris and shit. But guess what? People took debts and flexed anyway. So the rich people eventually reached the point where they're like, okay, the only way we can distinguish ourselves from the filth is by getting real estate. So we're going to build fucking castles. And then we're going to invite people in. And nobody can beat that flex. And that's when they won the flex race. And what I'm saying here is all of this is pointless. If you're trying to catch up to somebody, you won't catch up to them. They're already ahead and they'll find a way.
Well, also, furthermore, playing the catch-up game, i.e. the trend game, you're never going to catch up because, as you said, there's always somebody ahead of you. There's always somebody who's actively starting the new trend. And that's why I think that catching up to a trend for the sake of fitting in is ridiculous because let's use well, you already have the phone example. Everybody basically has the same phone that has all the same functions, just a different company. With watches and Rolexes, I know that in the corporate world, everybody rocks Rolexes. So what have people started doing? They start rocking Seikos or Movements or a bunch of these other brands, right? Because now they want to differentiate themselves there, right? They start wearing different things. So it's like, oh, everyone has a Rolex now. It's like people want to flex, but then they realize there's too many people on their level, so they can't really get away with the flex. So thus somebody tries to start a new trend, and then the idiots that follow that one eventually ruin that style. And it just ruins a lot of trends and styles. Like Rolexes are kind of tarnished because there's so many pricks that just wear them for the sake of wearing them. Now, as a company, Rolex is well aware of this, right? They know that people don't use their watches to actually look at the time because that's what everyone's phone is for. So it's a fashion accessory. But the point
Funny
is,
enough,
as soon as you start viewing anything like that, it will lose its value.
it's very simple as far as I'm concerned. If you stopped flexing, you'd have enough money to do anything you want. When you stop thinking of an iPhone as a necessity you need to pay for, suddenly a lot of things that, it's like, if only I had more money goes away. Financial planning is not difficult. Financial planning is very simple. And one of them is like, okay, I don't have enough money for an iPhone, don't get an iPhone. Get a Nokia. It's still touchscreen, but guess what? It's what? Let me remember. It's $120 last time I checked. That was years ago when one of my friends got it. 120. And when he got a Nokia, I'm like, why Nokia? He's like, it was cheap. And I'm like, that's all I need. I'm like, yes, thank you. Bless you for just doing that, because a lot of people
see,
are not.
Nokia fans never want to reveal the true purpose they got a Nokia. It's because when they get mad playing a mobile game, they're allowed to smash their phone on the ground and pick it up and start playing again with absolutely nothing happening to it. Because Nokias are indestructible.
Oh, you know what I love doing? One of the things my sister would say about Android, which is like, I want to get an Android, but it's just such a frail machine, right? And then I look at her, laugh, and every time she says it, because she's a repeater. I do this, like I take my Samsung and I just drop it, like butterfingers, and then I grab it and nothing. Like, here you go, nothing, right? And I'm like, where's the frailty you're talking about?
Yeah,
And
I don't know where people are like, because I've seen people break their phones, and maybe I just have good luck. But I watched a friend crack his screen by dropping his phone in the driveway the other day, and
yeah,
it's like, dude,
driveway.
I've dropped my. It's like, dude, I've dropped my phone from the second floor before.
No,
My
here's the
iPhone
thing.
6 was indestructible somehow.
No, here's the thing. You see this cover? It's it's good plastic. It's good quality, right? And if you notice over here, there's like a depression, and the idea is, even if it falls on the sidewalk, there is still distance between the screen and the sidewalk, enough for it to actually, for the screen not to get hit. There is no screen cover here. There's no screen protector, right? This has been with me for like 3, even I think 4 years now. Not a scratch. Besides the scratch I've applied, because sometimes I put my keys where my phone is, and that creates like minor scratches. And so that myth is stupid. People break their iPhones all the time, and one of the reasons is because their covers, right? Even like Samsung, I'm smartphones. It's just they take small stupid covers with like bunny ears here or something, because we got to flex, right? You got to put your own style on the iPhone that you and all I say is like, okay, what happened to backgrounds? There's a reason you can put a background in the fucking iPhone. Why does this need a background too? Nobody cares. Again, like, I'm angry.
Bro, I've seen the cases where people have like designs or stickers on it, and they come with, like, stickers are fine, but those cases that come with designs on them, they're so frail. They don't actually protect anything. And
Jack shit.
I have a screen protector on my phone just because it came with the deal, and I was willing to spend actually $1,000 for a phone that day. Like, you have to prepare yourself when walking into an AT&T store. It's intimidating. But this guy did not try to talk me up, and I did not have to talk him down. No, it was just, he gave me this price, and I'm like, it works for the deal. But I have a screen protector because I figure I can, right? Like, it's cheap and it's affordable at that point. But no, there are people that go all out to protect their phones, and it's because some of them are finally learning. It's like I am a retard in my everyday endeavors. Therefore, my phone has suffered. Therefore, I don't want it to continue suffering. And you've
No,
seen
it
these
makes
people, these idiots that go out of their way to break their phones. Like, I'm gonna play catch with it. Didn't you just buy it last week? Yeah, but I want to flex. Like, look at my new phone. Let's and then one bad catch from that clumsy friend, and it falls into like a sewer or something. Then you have to walk back, right? That walk of shame, like to the same employee that saw you just a couple days ago. Like, what happened to your phone? Are you enjoying it? No, I need to get a new one, But it's like, oh, do you have the warranty? No, I didn't buy a warranty because I wasn't. Oh, we told you it was only like $30 more. Yeah, but you said you were really good with your phone and that you would take great care of it. Yeah, I did it. And then you have to like explain. I had a friend who had to explain that he dropped his phone in a urinal. There is no correct way to say that.
Moving on. I want to move away from phones, and I want to make sure I'm pronouncing the name correctly. I want to talk about a bitch called Marsha Lazareva. Marsha
No, you
Lazareva.
No, you don't.
No. This is too funny of a story. So, the background is I was watching like YouTube as you do, right? Like, oh, blah blah blah, next, and then that shows up. Like, ugh, okay, to click skip. I should get ad block. Blah blah blah. All the thoughts that you always get, and then I get Bush's son, one of the Bushes. I forget their names. I think George, right? Whoever was the latest, right? And he's there. He's like, here's this 6-year-old kid. His mom is imprisoned unjustly in Kuwait in an overcrowded cell for a crime she did not commit, and it was forged. And the kid is all alone. Let's help him out. We did not liberate Kuwait from oppression for our businesswoman to be taken over. And this bitch is a big businesswoman that specializes in rising markets, blah, blah, blah. I did my background check. And
I've never heard of her personally, but she's a
big
deal, apparently.
Yeah, apparently a big deal, right? The first shock that came to me is overcrowded cell. If you know anything about Kuwaiti prisons, all they do is put you there. I.e., I've known people who order KFC in prison. There's always you playing cards with the guards. It's just you're just there.
Hey, yo, bro,
they take away.
Can I order a pizza? I'm gonna be here for a few days.
Right? They're lenient. They don't care. It's a small country. Like nobody cares, and prison's just there. That's as far as I know, right? So when you tell me there's an overcrowded female prison, to me that I find that a bit odd, right? So that's the first thing that caught me. And the second thing, why didn't I hear about this? Kuwait treats their foreigners very good unless they come from Asia. If they come from the West, we lick their balls, right? It's reached the point where two people doing the same job, if one happens to come from the West, people here automatically assume they're better at their job. So they hire them for a higher price and give them all the privileges you can think of. A lot of foreigners who come to Kuwait, they're like, we come here because that's the country that treats us best. They pay us good, they take good care of us, and all we have to take away is alcohol. And by the way, they sneak us the alcohol too, right? So there's literally no reason for us not to be there. So this country that treats Westerners like they're like godsend imprisoned this woman on false charges. Now, they never say what the charge is in the ad. What they do, though, if you click on their site, they tell you it's like the accusation is misuse of government funds, and it's the sentencing is 10 years. Now, I sent this to you, Louis, and the first thing you noted is that whenever something like this happens, especially with the word unjust going on, the US goes crazy over this. Yet, according to you, you've never seen anything. The only thing we've seen out of researching was one interview, like a 1-minute interview, where the lawyer of this bitch tries to make the case on public television, and nobody cares about it. Nobody talked about it after. So, you tell me, Louis, does this look like an innocent person? Does this sound like an innocent person?
You guys smell that? Kind of smells like bullshit. As Trillian eloquently stated, when something happens to one of our fellow own Americans, you will not hear the end of it until, well, maybe ever. Jamal Khashoggi, which was a recent journalist who was allegedly murdered in Saudi Arabia a couple months ago, we still have not heard the end of that, and how that situation affected Trump and his relationship with the Saudis, because his hands were kind of tied, but he also wanted to kind of help, but he also kind of didn't believe the journalist, and the media was going crazy with that story. Every single time something happens to an American elsewhere, even if it's misunderstood, even if it's not prison or not juvenile or not malicious, it is everywhere. It is on Fox. It is on CNN. There is a sort of unity that comes through with that. Not one peep about this bitch. Like Trillian said, we had to work to find information about her. And that 1-minute interview, it came from Fox News, which makes sense because Fox kind of seems like the station that would hop on that first. But then it's almost as if, because they never brought it up again, seems like they kind of did some more digging and realized that they did not want to bring attention to this. Why? Because the only thing Americans hate more than being taken advantage of is looking bad anywhere. So if they were to basically expose what happened to this American businesswoman, it would make the country look bad. An American goes to Kuwait and takes advantage of the system, whatever that may be, however she did it. And if all the points don't add up, well, the journalists aren't going to touch it because they don't want to bring that negative attention here. And so those were the two things that I retracted from this, or not retracted, but that I deduced from this. One, there's no attention to prompt that it was legitimate. And if there was, the media is doing a very poor job of it, which is clearly not going to be the case because they're going to find some way to tie it into modern day politics and what's going on. And I just don't see it flying under the radar one bit. So either the story is completely one-sided in favor of Kuwait, or the story is a lot more gray than the surface is letting to believe. In which case, there's still time to flesh it out. And I'm kind of curious to see how this plays out, but no one's fucking talking about it.
To me, as I sent the video for you guys in chat, so you can see it for yourself. It's 1 minute. The problem I find with this fucking video is there was zero facts stated about the case, and all of it was just sentimentality. They begin with the kid. They basically call in favors. You know, we liberated you. Help us out here. You know, they say falsely accused. They never say like what the crime is, what the accusation is. And to me, like, if it was genuine, it would have been something like this. First, it would have been an ad, but let's go with the ad. It's an ad, fine, right? The ad goes: a U.S. citizen has been unjustly imprisoned in foreign soil. This would be the headline. Not, oh, reunite this kid with his mother. You know? None
They're
of that
tugging at
crap.
the wrong heartstrings.
Yeah. It's like they can't use facts, so they're using sentimentality.
And furthermore, to drive this point even further, for anyone who needs another example of this and wasn't familiar with the Khashoggi story, remember the kid that was held in North Korea? And that was an international crisis, supposedly, because the US made sure everyone knew about that, and that was on blast. That's what we do. We will push it into your faces, even if it's not your problem. There are people in Thailand who don't give a shit, and they're finding out about it. That's what Americans will do when they believe that something unjustly has been done or brought upon one of them. And so I just cannot get behind a story that has not received the proper attention, not by choice, because believe me, the choice is always to put these situations on blast.
So yeah, just by the analysis of the context,
Just by common sense, really.
just it feels like she is guilty and she's trying to get out. That's what it looks like. And I see nothing that can point me in the other direction. I don't like people getting convicted when they're innocent. I don't like that. Maybe she's innocent. I tried considering the angle.
But where's
In
the
fact,
evidence to support it?
Right? And I was planning to, like, okay, I was gonna do the analysis, and if it checks out, I was gonna send this around. I was gonna tell people, okay, let's not imprison innocent people. I clicked on this to be supportive of them, but they did not let me. Every red alert has been rung. Everything that yells propaganda has been laid out. And I'm like, isn't there a marketing team or like a PR team that sat down and was like, hey, maybe this is too PR-y and people aren't that gullible? Because if they were, they would be catching on to the story, but they're not. Who puts a fucking announcement for innocence on a fucking ad?
On a YouTube channel. It's a YouTube ad, bro. It's like, the same platform that has like YouTube gaming ads and look, it's the new Dodge ad. It's a bunch of stupid like Corona ads, right? It's like you're putting that on the same platform. Show some fucking respect for yourself.
Like, it looks like the desperate acts of a guilty party. And if it is so, I'll be very happy if it fails. And the reason I'll be very happy is because for all those conspiracy nuts out there who say everybody, like, Illuminati's in control, like everything is the new world order, right? This is like a reminder to everybody that it's not about fucking Illuminati. It's a bunch of people. It's a chaotic mess where everybody tries to grasp control, and everybody is playing, a game of tug, and everybody's trying to grasp at something. And she probably did something she thought she can get away with, and she didn't. And therefore, now she's paying for it. 10 years hard labor. Congratulations. Justice,
Now, has the sentence been ruled yet? Or is there a trial on scheduled?
From what I've seen, the sentence has been executed and they're trying to appeal the case. So, 10 years hard labor is the decision, and their lawyers are trying hard to like either reduce or eliminate that. Just poof, it's just a bad case. I don't know, man. Nothing smells right about this case.
Furthermore, here's the deal. If you feel confident that you're innocent, you would want to present those to the public, correct? That was a big argument recently, at least in America, with the Mueller reports, is everybody wanted to see it. Is Trump innocent? Is he not? Release it. If you genuinely believe that you are innocent, then let the public be on your side, honestly, right? Because believe me, it'll get passed around, right? If you are innocent, people will share it. They'll make a petition about it on change.org, right?
They'll panic. Like we've seen, dude. Let's not go far. Look at Crowder and the Fox nonsense. Let's do a follow up right now. Crowder, when he got demonetized, he gained 200,000 new subscribers, and his Mug Club subscriptions skyrocketed. He even released a promo code for this occasion that gives you 30% off, and people weren't using it on purpose. He had to release a video telling people, okay, guys, I know you want to support me, but please use the promo code. It's for you guys. And it backfired on Vox. It backfired on YouTube, and it backfired on the entirety of the SJW community in their Pride Month. People, when they see injustice, they will act. They will stand up. Nobody just looks away. They react one way or another, right? Sometimes it's gray, and that's when people stop. But when there's a clear black and white, who's right and who's wrong, people will choose the right, and they will go for it. So, same case here exactly. If she was on the right, she would have caught attention by now. But everybody who I sent this case to says the same thing. Looks fishy, sounds fishy. She's probably guilty.
Yeah, if I can make the suggestion, it's simple. You have to release the facts. Release the facts and let the public decide. Don't let them decide the actual turn of events, but let them formulate their own opinions. That works, right? Little do you know, perhaps it could start a trend, a hashtag, but you have to be confident enough in your innocence, which in this case is obviously what's being questioned, to see if you can gain that additional support, that traction from the mainstream. Because either it's clearly failed you thus far, or you're guilty. There can be no in between at this point, especially if you're not willing to provide the evidence or the branches in order to help people come to that conclusion.
Especially when you use YouTube ads.
Yeah, like, dude, I'm serious. Like, why would you? Dude, I see YouTube. Like, do you know what YouTube advertises? The hottest clothes this summer. Get the best summer body. I don't even know how I fucking get these. I'm like, dude, I'm watching a video about E3. What am I getting? Why am I getting like Vanity Fair and fucking Gucci ads for?
Dude, your ads are heaven compared to the Kuwaiti ads, all right? Dude, you want to talk cringe? You want to talk horrible ads? You look no further than the Arab world. And Kuwait is like trying to be just in the front. They're just they want to be ahead of the race in cringy ads. It's
cringier than Bollywood.
Bollywood is self-aware.
It's like cringier than Bollywood. Well, you know, it's open to interpretation, really. This ad for this particular woman was cringe because it was so out of place, so out of touch. In one sense, it makes sense because YouTube is the hot platform. You want the message to get out there, but you couldn't take this to like the New York Times. That'll start like a snowball effect. CNN will pick it up, then Fox. Hell, Fox picked it up first. You don't want to try to keep pushing it with them. You know, they're the most patriotic, allegedly, of all the newscasts. You're not going to get them like, look, a fellow American was taken from us. Keep pushing this narrative. they're embarrassed or they're fearing the worst, that they can't say anything more than the surface for obvious reasons.
You know when media platforms that love promoting misinformation, not carrying a piece of misinformation, that tells you how bad the misinformation is.
Precisely. Like even CNN, MSNBC, the fake news, were able to look at this and be like, not today. Bye, Felicia. You just know there was somebody like, I mean, I know that we lied about the collusion story, or we not lied, but like we stretched the truth a little bit, but like this is, they didn't even tell us why. They just sent like a 1-page, they sent a 1-sentence a letter telling us what we should say.
Well, at least they got 1 minute on Fox News. I mean, that's got to worth something. That's got to be worth it, you know.
And I must stress, that's what we could find with effort. Bro, like you should never, ever have to go to the second page of Google for anything. No, we were forced to, and we were still left disappointed.
Yeah, like everything is like articles on one site, and all of them is like people like the Arab world needs more businesswomen like Marsha, and I'm like, you're using that angle too. You know, did you run out? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. It's just dumb. It's dumb in all the right ways.
It's like I said, we'll see how it develops. But in my opinion, if there's any merit to the story, it will gain the appropriate attention it needs, because the journalists here are committed. The ones that still have integrity will go out of their way to put it on blast. And if not, then there's a good reason for it. Because journalists, they can be smart too in terms of what they promote. They don't want to promote something that's going to get them in trouble and ruin their name. That said, speaking of ruining names, though, E3 is becoming a shell of its former self.
Oh, yes.
Every year it gets worse. But this year was the first that...
No. E3 was always horrible. This time, I'm not sure that it was as horrible as last year or the year before it. This one is all right. I like the E3. I mean, I didn't look much, but I watched the Nintendo E3 and I watched a little bit of highlights from here and from the others. And we have good games in store. I mean, as far as we're concerned, not consoles, us PC master race people. We have Empire of Sin going. We have Cyberpunk is looking pretty hot. We got Nintendo's bringing their A game with their video games. They're rebooting a bunch of games and adding more classic stuff on their Switches, on their Switch rather. The new Fire Emblem's coming. It looks cringy, but it's Fire Emblem. I gotta pick it up. Pokemon Sword and Shield looks all right. What else is there? Like, it's a pretty good year for gaming, as far as I'm concerned.
That is easy for you to say because you did not learn about video game journalists. This is a thing. I did not know this, or rather,
I just got introduced. Yeah. Okay, let's hear your rant.
Listen, Trillian, feel free to take that much-needed bathroom break that you always need for your bladder that's smaller than Ted Cruz's penis, but because I'm about to unleash again. I have never seen a bigger collection of beta nerd males in my life than the congregation of pseudo-intellectuals that comprise of the writing unit that is their organization when it comes to being at E3, being video game journalists. I knew this was a thing, kind of. People always kind of brought it up. There were always, I know that there were people that wrote articles on gaming because I knew there were people that wrote articles on all media, right? But it never occurred to me to have this delineation of video game journalists. Good Lord, the amount of butthurt that was soaring through the air in E3. Wow, dude. Let's start with Cyberpunk 2077, because this was the first example that I was made aware of. There was apparently a poster in one of the backgrounds of one of the images for the game. It was supposed to be kind of racy and transgendery. Not making fun of transgenders, just kind of acknowledging it. But the SJW mob took it the wrong way because they interpreted it to believe that being transgender is kind of a fun choice, even though that was not at all its intention. People believe what they want to believe, and people believed what they saw or what they wanted to see with this poster. Anyway, I'm always amazed how people are able to spot these Easter eggs so fast upon release. Like, E3 just happened, and there were people freaking out about this, like the day of. And so this poster was in one of the trailers for Cyberpunk 2077. And now, the typical Twitter mentality, Twitter justice has declared that Cyberpunk 2077 is done. It's over. And CD Projekt Red and all of its fans were just kind of like, no. And the SJWs are like, what? No, we said you can't buy this game, but we will. Well, we said that you can't like this game. Well, we probably will too, because The Witcher was great, arguably the greatest game of the decade, and CD Projekt Red is great, and Keanu Reeves, he's breathtaking. No, you're breathtaking. So the fun police got on this, and I would argue they failed. Next up, they got on Halo. Halo Infinite is apparently coming, which may give me an excuse to actually buy an Xbox. But people were upset because it's just so stupid. I don't really get this one, to be honest. It was something along the lines of enabling Master Chief, and Master Chief enabling the guy that kind of revives him in the trailer, and that Master Chief wants to go fight, but the guy who happens to be a minority doesn't want to fight. So Master Chief should not have enabled him to make him try to fight, even though it's a fight. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's like if you're driving a car and your friend's in the car and you're like, I want to go to McDonald's. And he's like, well, I don't want to go to McDonald's. And you're like, too bad. I'm going to McDonald's. And then somebody writes an article about it saying the driver enabled the passenger because he did not want to go to McDonald's, but they ended up going to McDonald's. Probably the most utterly but retarded out of all of them. But the last one is the cherry on the shit sundae. Call of Duty is usually that franchise that can just sneak by. Everyone kind of knows what to expect. It's bad for what it is, but it's COD. So it just kind of passes through. No one cares. This year, people cared. Not the COD community, mind you. The SJWs are back in full throttle salute again. They're attacking Modern Warfare for being a war game and for being too realistic.
Okay, I did not.
This is not funny. Shut up.
Okay.
You can.
I'm sorry.
Can stop. This is no laughing matter. Go on IGN right now and look up.
Okay, I'm doing it.
Look. No, you don't have to. You can do it if you want. I'm telling everyone else to do it. Whenever you have a chance, go to IGN's channel and look up Call of Duty Modern Warfare. There's a video of all of these game journalists who supposedly beta tested the game or played the beta or played the demo or whatever, and they're all shell shocked. Like, it's a bunch of pussies. They're shocked. They can't fathom that the game is so violent and realistic and heart-wrenching, and that it's so tragic. It's a war game, and it's made by the actual good Call of Duty developer. Like, what do you mean? So it's a bunch of game journalists saying, once again, teaming up with the SJWs, now this game is done. Now this game is over. They're saying this game should not be made, should not be continued, should not be sold to kids, even though it's never sold to kids. It's the parents that buy them for the kids because they don't care, right? Like, haven't we gotten past this point where it's like the rated M for mature rating means absolutely nothing? People are going to play what they want to play, and it's just that simple. But nope, the fun police strikes again. And here they are attacking. Those are the 3 games I saw. I could have found more, possibly, but God forbid if I could take any more. So game journalists, that's a thing, and I would argue, wow, you think the mainstream media is bad? At least they're focusing on something that matters.
Okay.
This...
You know what this is sounding like to me? So last week we talked about Crowder, so I subscribed and I started watching a bit of his videos. There was a particular change in my mind, and it was on abortion. And he argues against abortion, and he welcomes people to sit down and change his mind. Some people did that, and their arguments are always like ridiculous as far as I'm concerned, but we'll put that aside. It's not the relevant topic. This one guy shows up. He's fat, he's beta male, clearly like one of these, like, you look at him as like, you've been a virgin your entire life.
Yeah, exactly. That's all of these game journalists in a nutshell.
Right. No. Here's the highlight. He sits down. He tries to argue the case, and he's so pro female. No matter what says, like, females should get the right. As if that will get him any pussy. And then at some point he yells, "Woman! Any woman here, raise your hand." And then
I've seen that video.
Right? Okay, you know it. And then he says, if tell me if you're willing to, like, carry a baby you don't want. Basically, that's what he's saying. He said it differently. He said it in a way more, as I like to call it, dispassionate way. Fetus. They always use those words to dehumanize the baby. And one bitch, there were a lot of yeses echoing, but then one bitch in particular was like, "Yes, it's a fucking living being," and then everybody's like, "Wow!" All the muffled noises started yelling, and then he got shell shocked. Like, I thought that's what you wanted. And that's video game generalism in a nutshell, people. That's the frame. That's what you're dealing with. They want to bring pieces that will please people, but everybody's like, "What? No, that's not what we want." And they're like, "What? But common discourse dictates that you should want this, but we don't want it, though." And then, like, huh? It is that in a nutshell. It's horrifying.
It was. I was breathtaken by it, because it's like, I know that there are people that have very bad takes on everything, right? Like, they're just people that suck at writing articles, and somehow they're journalists. And they're the people that are opinion writers that masquerade as being, right, like, staff writers of normal content. And it's like video game journalism, aside from how juvenilely stupid that sounds, they took it to a whole new level. It's like, what are you writing about, really? Can't you just be part of a media site that talks about all media? Why are there exclusively video game journals and websites out there for journalism, for video games? Like, what is there really to talk about? You can review the game once it comes out. You can give your opinions, I guess, when the trailers and the demos come out. Is that really journalism, though? That's right. That's like a column. That's your own talking piece. You could give like, IGN is really the only one that kind of has a grasp on this, and it's because they they haven't exclusivized all of their content to be solely video games. They do other things too.
No, I understand why they do it. Personally, I know why. It's not because other media can't get into gaming. It's the exact opposite. Gamers don't want to get into outside media. They don't like. For the longest time, I've noticed this trend. People who play video games exclusively and don't care much about politics or all that don't want any politics in their shit. They're always like, when I play video game, I don't. I want to detach from the world. I want to take a break from everything, and I want to sit down and I want to enjoy it. And for some reason, that carries over to media sites. The media sites that cover video games, amongst other things, don't get as much traction as media sites that cover games exclusively. So that's what ends up happening. And
which is ironic, though. It's ironic, though, because all of those exclusive media sites or those exclusive gaming journalism sites, they don't want to be involved in politics, yet they're always bitching about politics. And I think this is a bigger problem that has to do with activism disguising itself as journalism. There are a lot of writers out there that aren't really journalists. They're activists, and they show it with their writing. I still think that the best writers have a grasp on this, and the best news sites, the best news platforms tend to put their best foot forward still. And sometimes it's still cringy, obviously, but like, for the most part, there are a lot of people nowadays that can get away with pushing their ideals onto and calling it journalism. And the reason that doesn't sit well with myself and so many other people is it is intruding on so many other mediums, and gaming is just one of them. And I understand the approach where people argue that they don't want politics in gaming, because gaming is one of it. First of all, people typically don't want politics in all of their fiction and any of their media, but it makes more sense with gaming because there's an attachment to it where you are actually playing as a character. You're playing through a story. You're playing through an event, and it honestly is a turnoff for a lot of people if they're playing a game and then they're constantly reminded, like, oh yeah, by the way, this change was made because this person from this stupid website decided to argue, decided to complain that this should be this and blah, blah, blah. And then parts get changed. And this is part of the reason, this is another additional reason why video game companies are suffering, because they're also trying to fall, well, they're openly actually falling into what I call the trap of diversity, where it's like, it's not bad to be diverse. Just stop telling people that you are. It's so overkill. It's so cringy.
Now, here's what happens. Here's what happens when you try to display diversity. You cannot display diversity without making it stand. There's no longer, like, look at Cyberpunk. They just put a poster with transgender stuff on it, right? And that's their subtle way of saying, by the way, those exist. We know they exist. But because they weren't put on a pedestal, and the person who was on the pedestal was, like, worshipped, people don't get the message. There's no such thing as those people exist. No, those people exist, and they should be cared for and loved. They should be protected. God bless them. They're beautiful. You have to do all of that. It's like naming a guy a woman of the year because he put a twat. He took his dick out and made it a twat.
But he hasn't. Am I the only one that's still, like, kind of triggered about this? Like, I would have almost let it pass if Caitlyn Jenner would have gotten his dick removed. But he hasn't.
He didn't.
Not that I know of. Actually, can I Google search this right now? To make sure that I...
my mind is blown.
What would you even look up? Is Caitlyn Jenner officially a woman? Is that... does
Caitlyn has a twat?
Does Caitlyn Jenner have a boyfriend is the first thing that comes up. Have a dick. Come on, Google, finish this one for me. Nope, made me work for it. Let's see. Okay. Pierce Morgan, that's always a great way to start a story, asked Caitlyn Jenner about her penis, and it did not go well. Okay.
Oh, this is tasty.
Posted at the start of last year. All right.
wow.
What's the
And
latest?
Matt got Woman of the Year. Ooh. Ouch.
Like, dude, can she just go ahead and have it happen? Like, can she just, you have to commit to this, right? As far as I'm concerned, like, that's the most crucial element of being a female. And I've had females tell me that it's like they won't call, they won't stop calling him Bruce until he goes all the way. Like, you need to go balls deep. Well, maybe that's not the right phrase. You need to go all the way and get your shit cut off.
Yeah, you get it fixed. Yeah, I'm for that. I honestly thought he did it.
Dude, Caitlyn has so many points on the victim card. It's unreal. Look, transgender technically still likes women, so she's lesbian too, but has a dick, so maybe it's like what is that called when like something has two genitalia, the two different like hermaphrodites. There we go. So hermaphrodite potentially. Athlete, but athlete that is subdued and has been subdued their entire lives because they never got to be their true selves. It's like, look, go down the checklist.
I am exhilarated. Oh my God, this is the confusion, right? This is the confusion that comes with this era.
It's like, fine, I'll call you Caitlyn, but like for me, it'll still be, first of all, I still know you as Bruce. You are an American icon and hero. I don't want anyone to, we lost you. I don't want you to take that away from me. At the very least, it's going to take some getting used to. But I can call you Caitlyn, whatever, a name's a name. It's just the pronouns. That's hard. That's hard for me. Because you still look like a guy. Like, you look like the ugliest woman I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry. And you haven't gone all the way yet. So how can I legitimately think? You remember that episode of The Big Bang Theory? Where, like, where Leonard tells Sheldon that he's going to the office? And Sheldon's like, well, I'm not going to or Leonard's like, well, I'm not going to the office. And Sheldon's like, well, then why would you tell me that you're going to the office? And he's like, I don't know. I just wanted to like kind of give a cover up. And he's like, so you brought me in here to tell me that you can't tell me where you're going and you can't tell me who asked. And he's like, yeah, but I'm going to the office. Yeah, but I don't believe you. It's like, it's not convincing. I can't believe that it's a woman if she hasn't finished. I'm not trying to be a dick here either. I'm just like, this is the stuff that keeps me up at night before this stream. I'm sweating, actually.
I did not know that subtly mentioning Caitlyn was going to trigger you this much. I'm happy it did.
Dude, this is discussed in college classes still. This is like, this is a debate topic. People will fight you to the death on the street for this. People will call you out on Walmart parking lot to come 1v1 you on Rust. Bro, this is crazy. And whenever I state my opinion, it's like, look, I have to go all in because otherwise people won't get where I'm coming from. If I just say, yeah, I don't really think Caitlyn's really, you hate her, you sexist, misogynist, you pig, like all these pronouns. I'm like, no. You really think I give a shit what somebody decides to do with their body? It's a matter of like, if I ever see this person, how am I going to interact without making them or myself feel uncomfortable?
I tell you what to do.
How am I going to stay off Twitter, basically?
No. Here's what you do. Personally, if I meet good old Bruce, I would say, first thing I do is I have to annoy
It's Caitlyn. Hey, it's Caitlyn.
Well, that's why I said Bruce. I'm like, hey, Caitlyn? Which
Nobody
one are you?
knows.
Right, I do that one, and then it's like, it's Caitlyn. Oh, my apologies. I'm sorry. Let me check my Arabian privilege at the door.
Yeah, show your way, show yourself out with that Arabian privilege.
No. I want to get back into E3, and I want to mention something very specific, which is the Avengers game. And I want to say, see, the Avengers game is a perfect example, for me at least, of why you should never give a Japanese developer a Western styled game, at least in that way. Because the characters look ugly as fuck because they couldn't Square Enix couldn't possibly comprehend what we can't do it anime styled. We can't do the hairs. How do we use human faces? What the fuck, you know? Captain America looks fat. Black Widow looks fat. It just looks weird. The voice acting is cringy, right? And it looks like this big piece, right? And I'm like, why is like, who thought this was a good idea? This is horrible, right? And it's like, somebody took a shot, and the shot missed the hole, like the shot went back. That's how that's how it looked like. And I'm just flabbergasted. I'm like, the Avengers is the biggest thing, has been the biggest thing in movies for God knows how long. You couldn't get that one right? You couldn't get like a group of writers and graphic designers that know what they're doing? You're Square Enix. Don't tell me you can't do that shit. What the fuck happened there? I'm very confused by this.
Dude, you think that's bad? I'm gonna put in the chat right now something that you are all gonna hate me for.
Okay, what is
Some of you have
this?
seen it, probably some of you haven't. They've done this before.
Ooh. Ew.
They made an actual Avengers anime.
Wait, who's this bitch in the middle? Who are those? Who the fuck are those three?
Oh, you see, it wasn't Japanese enough, so they had to add their own characters.
Oh, it's like that basketball thing where they actually pretend that there are people in Japan that are competent in whatever discipline they're showing, and then yeah, I get you. It's fine.
Yeah, that basketball anime that's about, apparently Japan has the best basketball players in the world now. Not just the best, ones with magic powers and Sharingans. God damn it. They did this already though. They made an actual Avengers in anime style. So it actually did not surprise me as much as it did some people when I first saw it at E3. I was like, wow. They kept going with it.
You know what
Wonderful.
You know what where the Avengers should have invested their time in? They should have invested in a deal where they put Captain America and Iron Man in Smash. That's what they should have done. That would be amazing.
You know what Marvel should have done? They should have invested in DC taking over their animated shows and showing them how it's done. Good Lord, they still suck at them.
Well, yeah, fair
Marvel
enough.
is terrible at animated anything.
Well, everybody's got their shtick, right? I like that DC has the animated side while Marvel has the movies. I like that there's still like a difference in discipline, if you will, and the ability for people to actually manifest the creative form in something they're good at.
Well, the way it works is that Marvel has the movies and DC has everything else, basically. But the movies overcompensate for everything else that they're lacking in. Marvel,
the movies make way more money. Way more. Exponentially so. So, sure, get everything else. We got the one that matters. And that's how it goes. And soon they're going to get TV with their streaming service, which scares the shit out of me. But speaking of Marvel, there's something you wanted to talk about that I don't know anything about, which is the X-Men movie. Uh, you refer to it, I believe, as the Dark Phoenix disaster.
Wow. I actually wasn't in the mood for this anymore, but why not? But, okay, so
How can they fuck up? How can Fox fuck up more? Just tell me.
Dark Phoenix sucked. It was the last X-Men movie, and they went wrong because they pushed the SJW narrative again. That's the bare minimum. But they didn't just run with the SJW narrative. They, like, if Captain Marvel was tame with it, they pushed this all in your face. They spat it in your face. You've probably seen the clip with Jennifer Lawrence's character, right? The blue person. I don't know. I don't follow X-Men, but somehow I got dragged to watch this. And disaster in every sense of the word. There's even a line with Jennifer Lawrence where she says to the bald guy in a wheelchair, the women are saving the men so much that you should try changing the name from X-Men to X-Women. That is an actual clip in the movie. And it's so
I'm sorry.
It's how many times I have to tell you, tonight is not the night we laugh. There's too much bad stuff that has happened recently. X-Men has officially put the nail in their coffin.
Okay, I need a moment.
They released a clip where Jennifer Lawrence's character says that the day right before the movie came out, and that set the tone. That was like, oh no, it's gonna be this bad? This is the first clip they released?
Ooh. Oh God. Oh, my heart, it's too small.
And because we're on this subject, why not? The new Batwoman trailer also sucks Triceratops testicles. Why is everything terrible?
Oh no, it's not. You know why? Because I know where to look for the positives. You see, I'm a happy man because I'm gonna go watch Godzilla. I'm a happy man. Godzilla, Cyberpunk, the Empire of Sin that I'm really looking forward to. That fucking mafia strategy game looking motherfucker. I look at the good things, Louis. I look at the great things, the beautiful things. That's why I'm in a good mood. That's why I'm laughing my ass off. I am winning. I got this. Life is good. Let the fucking filth sit in the background and congregate with the roaches. Let them be there. I am up. I am way above. And I'm going to go and I'm going to watch the poorly reviewed Godzilla movie with too much action. And I'm going to fucking, like, relive my childhood. That's what I'm doing, Louis. That's what I'm going to do. You watch Dark Phoenix. You cringe out at Batwoman. You do that stuff. I'm going where it's fun.
Sure. That's all I had to say about that.
All right. That's fine.
Everything sucks. God is dead. I kind of want to end this stream now, but we have at least another half hour to go.
It's fine. I'll help you through it. How about we talk about Alexa?
The Amazon bitch is didn't we talk about this? Basically it's Siri, but it lives at no, you shut up now too. It's basically she lives in your house and it's become
She
a
got
problem
sued.
because she got sued, yes.
Yes.
It turns out that the Amazon bitch has been spying on children, which we kind of already knew was happening. Maybe not children exclusively, but spying on people in the room of which she's set up in. Now, I have one set up in my room, but I don't talk about anything important or remotely intimate in my room. Because when I'm in this room doing work, I'm mainly by myself, right? Or like the stuff that gets said here is like, it's not going to serve the Illuminati well, I don't think. So, but there are people that have the Amazon bitch in the living room, some that have it in the bathroom, some that have it in the dining room and the kitchen, some that have multiple in their house, some that have multiple in multiple rooms. And I'm just like, Amazon's getting sued for this. And a part of me is proud that this is happening. But a part of me is like, why is this even a problem though? Because it kind of like, you should have known that this was a problem. Like, I kind of already assumed that she's listening to us, listening to me as we speak. But like I said, there's nothing remotely important being said right now. What is she going to report to her Lord Bezos or whatever? Bald head, thick daddy Bezos, you know, like, look, this is how you get. I don't know, like what kind of information she would pass based on the conversations that I have in the salt grinder of all things. But spying on children, it's like it's perfect, man. Like I guess it goes back to what you were saying about how like people don't know these things. Like you can make your own coffee and save money. Oh, I never really thought of it like that. Yeah, did you know that you don't have to set up an AI in your room and have her listen to everything that you said? Like, how did you not think that was going to be a problem? How did you not fathom that thing is alive? You would just say its name and it responds to you. There was nothing clicking up there, that nothing computed that's like, this may be a problem if I find a way for it to be a problem. Like, it's just it. Today's not my night, Trillian. I'm convinced of that,
No, that's fine. Actually, let me transition. So we're talking about people getting educated. I'm thinking of like, I was thinking about this, and I'm like, I'm looking at college, right, and how it teaches you nothing, especially in those majors in the humanities. Like, okay, history is fine, but social sciences doesn't really teach you anything. I'm convinced of that now that I'm seeing people talk, and as more time grows and I grow older, I notice that the people of my age don't really know much. I mean, I don't know much, and I know way more than them, and I'm always very surprised at this because I consider myself lazy and very. I don't like acquiring information. I dislike being taught a lot. I like learning on my own, stuff like that, and I think always that set me back. But for some reason, I find myself it's setting me forward, and I'm thinking, and I'm like, maybe we should bring apprenticeships back. You know, back from the medieval era, where you go to it, like you learn under a smith for like 5 years, and then he just gives you a degree, or rather, more specifically, a workmanship award or whatever. Basically, a paper that tells you can work in his discipline and you've been taught properly after 5 years or whatever. And I'm thinking you should give it to people who draw, people who use Photoshop, editing software, music software, all these softwares that, you know, a diploma is not representative. Everybody looks at the portfolio anyway. Well, how about we take away from that system and we put something a little bit more primitive? Because if you release a student under you, let's say somebody got taught by you, and 5 years later, you give him his rite of passage rather, and then he goes in the world and produces shit, If he's bad, if he sucks, people will know that you don't teach too good, and then your reputation is smeared. So you need to make sure everybody who graduates from your teachings turns out all right, turns out good. Otherwise, he's going to disgrace your name. People will stop going to you. So my thought process is, maybe we should give a little bit less to a college degree and a little bit more to actual field experience taught by field experts. And the key word is taught by like experts. This is the line. It's not just field experience, because field experience, just getting field experience, you don't know the theory, you don't know the basis. But if you get it from an expert, that's very different. So what do you think about this?
Part of the reason I always appreciated community colleges over the 4-year distinguished universities is because, similar to the people that write textbooks versus people who actually work in the field, the high caliber college professors that are in the universities, the high end ones, they usually know what they're talking about in theory, though not in practice. Community colleges always have to hire people that typically are working in the field, and that's useful because they've been there. They know what it takes. They're not sitting up in a fancy office somewhere writing about what they were taught and just regurgitating it with their own theories. And so the apprenticeship, although there are a lot of places that have mentorships, but and internships and whatnot, but I think that it's lacking as far as, again, where the foundation comes from, because the foundation is people want to go to these illustrious 4-year universities, but they don't get the proper education they need because they're getting it from people that have never been in the field. They've just been told how the field is run or how it's supposed to work. Hence why I make the analogy. The professors in university are the textbooks, and the people at, like, for example, community colleges or at the lower end universities are the actual field.
It's like I always bring the example of economists. That's my favorite one. And I guess, Louis, that holds a special spot in your heart as well, which is economists don't seem to know how to predict economy well, nor do they know how business actually works. They just kind of talk and have fancy theories, but that really never amounts to anything. But those are the people that are teaching the new economists out there how to do their economy. And that's bad, because all we're getting is people who don't know shit. Same thing for philosophy, right?
I knew economy really should be the laughingstock of the business division, and in some respect, I think it is. And I knew it was a joke as soon as in high school, where economy is taught, you learn elementary economy in high school, or at least you should. It was taught by my history teacher. They did not take it seriously. And what every economist basically runs on is the concept of supply and demand, which has always appeared to me more as a flavor of common sense as opposed to an actual theory. And I don't like economists. I guess I could just say that. They're one of the most arrogant because they have fancy equations to basically not really say much. Like they're the typical people that talk a lot but don't say a lot. And I mean that in the most directly offensive way possible, because in the business world, you have the marketers that can do a better job, for example, than the economists, because the economists are having to try to do part of the accountant's job and the advertising department's job, and they're trying to incorporate all that in what the field that they're working with wants. In other words, what the consumer lacks and what a company or product should provide. The problem with that is that an economist doesn't get to decide what a customer or a company wants or is going to make or is going to need. That's the person's, the consumer's, the company or product's job. And so I feel like they're just placeholders that don't really know what they're doing. Like, if you've ever asked yourself, what does an economist really do that can't be attributed to somebody else? Like I've heard the popular one I hear is the stock market. Well, you have people that specialize in the stock market, business stock professionals that work in the stock market. You have accountants that work in the stock market. You have economists that work in the stock market, but like that's not supposed to be the field exactly. And since the whole field is basically just a guessing game, educated guessing game, like why? You know what I mean? Like that's the question I find asking myself with most economists. It's, I've taken the classes, I've graduated with the information that was taught to me on behalf of economy as a subject. It's full of shit to me. Like it's nothing that you can't get from any other subject, even though it's trying to congregate everything at once.
I have a story for you. So there has been a trend in Kuwait right now, which is gold sprinkled food, right? And the way it goes is that you get.
And
for
who
example,
predicted that? What fucking economist predicted that was that was needed, right? What kind of fucking economist predicted that Snapchat was needed? Like what? You know what I mean? And it's like this trend's gonna happen, and this trend, yes, but then there's statisticians whose job that is. Like what are you doing here? Like what exactly is your? It's
they're
like
doing
you're taking from every other business division and discipline, and you're making equations from it, and it's supply and demand, and yeah, but
here's a
why?
primary example. You know how like EA makes their games, right? They release a shitty game once every year, and it's horrible and it's bad, and they somehow make money off it because there's still dumb people who like, for example, the Star Wars and they want to play it and all that. And their model is produce games that people are going to consume and force them to into micro purchases and all that, right? And then you look at a game like The Witcher. I don't want to go too far on this. I just want to talk about the economical side, right? CD Projekt Red business model is to release a game that's so good that everybody buys it and everybody keeps buying it. To this day, people are telling you you should play The Witcher 3 4 years after the fact, right? So they're even 4 years later, they're still making money off that one game they made and they spent 5 years making. Now, if you go to an economist and tell them I'm going to release a product, right? It's going to take me 5 years to make, but it's going to be well worth it because people are going to keep buying it for the rest of eternity, right? What would the economist tell you? That's ridiculous. You should release a game every year. Like those basketball and football games and FIFA and all those fucking things. Did they reach the 20s yet? Did they reach the 30s?
Next year, NBA
Right?
2K. NBA 2K is 20 years old, but next year is when they reach 2K20. So,
yep. So those people's ideas like update the roster up to the modern day standard, which can easily be put in a DLC, improve, tweak here, improve there, and people are going to buy it, which is true. People are dumb; they're going to buy it. Same as the iPhone. But how about you make a product that's so good you only need to update it once in a while? Again, I will bring the example of Smash, right? This Smash iteration, I assume, will last us a very long time. And the only time Smash is going to update is when a new console is released. And even then, that's questionable. They can just still port the game with better stuff. And all they need to do right now is just keep the trend going, add more characters, make world championships, and people will play it because people always play Smash. It's like the Hall of Fame of characters, like your game made it when it's in Smash. So what I'm saying here is every prediction that comes out of an economist's mouth is probably a safe bet to go against it, because chances are they're wrong.
You want to know the best part that I learned studying business?
Right?
You want to know who does their job 10 times better? Marketers. It is a marketer's job to predict the market.
And they do it well.
And
Yeah.
that's when I was convinced economists have no place in anything in the business world. There are accountants for the numbers side. There are statisticians also for the numbers side, but also for the standard deviation and
Pattern recognition.
yeah, pattern recognition, which coincides with marketing, which is why so many marketers tend to have a statistics background. So that coincides. Marketing is obviously the department used for marketing. That obviously is going to overlap very much so with advertising, which is supposed to take all of the previous information from all the prior departments and turn that into a product that can be visualized and make you want another product that they're selling. Now, those are the four big puppies. Economists are supposed to be in there. Economy is supposed to be somewhere in there. But you see what I mean? They just take from everything and kind of made their own subject. And we have to learn about it in business. And to this day, I think that's the one class I didn't learn anything from. I had to take two of them. It's like, the first class is some theorems and some memorization of formulas, and the second class is more complicated, longer formulas and applications. And every single one of the applications came from, they were most likely accounting questions. That's what I related them the most to. But and then finance. Those are the five big ones. Finance.
I remember I took an engineering economy class because we're required to, and I had the same experience as you. I left that class with a D, right? Barely passing. And the reason I did that is when somebody asked me, it's like, why did you get a D? Economy is like one of these classes for our engineering college that is an easy A, right? And I always give the same answer, which is, it wasn't even worth getting that grade in that fucking subject. It was so bad and so uneducational and so pointless that I couldn't get myself to study a single day. I entered the exam blind.
And still passed.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not that I hate economists. It's that when your job depends on basically the jobs of others to be done in order for you to come to your own conclusion, it really loses its luster a little bit. And I have to explain this to people because economists are always trying to do the marketer's job. And marketing is arguably the most important job in any business. And that's what they try to tell you. Well, we can predict this and we can do that. No, the statisticians already do that better. And the marketers that's their job, is to predict the market and then act upon it.
It's one of these things. Actually, let me get this out of the way. Nicobian, I wanted to like Star Wars, but the second they killed their extended,
no, don't.
The second they did that, I lost interest. Moving on.
Don't address his comments. Don't address that person's comments in particular.
Oh, okay. Oh, you
fuck him in particular.
It's fine. It's fine. But when it comes to economists and all that, a lot of disciplines I found in college are only existing because they need to make a living. So they need to convince people that they're needed when they're not. Economists happen to be part of those. Also, social scientists and fucking what do you call those? Those fuckheads who like I don't know what you call them. Fuck.
I would argue sociologists to an extent.
Oh, definitely sociologists. Like, if we're gonna talk sociology, I looked up the crash course, you know, on YouTube crash course, like sociology, and I was legit interested. I'm like, okay, let's click. Maybe it has something. And every social theory they have, every time I look at it, I'm like, no way, this is a science. No way people actually cared about this. No way these are controlled samples. No way you got this conclusion out of these data points. Every time I'm like, why is this a discipline? Nobody cares. Anthropology does its job better, and some anthropologists consider their work fiction. Like we're writing fiction about real life events. That's what we're doing, right? And those guys do their jobs way better than the social scientists, or rather the sociologists. It's just horrendous. It's awful. And then my favorite classes always like this. Thankfully, I never took that, which is women classes, women in the media, women in the whatever. And every time you open one of these classes, everybody's trying to like catch a trend that doesn't exist, do an analysis that doesn't matter. It's just a wank fest. And you know, as one guy once said, like you know what the men's equivalent of women's studies is?
Smelling your own fart?
No. History.
Sure, there's somebody who wants to argue that. You know, like history is important, but I always kind of thought like it should be taught, but I always kind of thought that the extent of it should be up to the individual to research if that's what they desire. You can tell when somebody's a history nuts because they tend to be able to bring forth more than what the average class is going to teach you.
No, here's the thing
so
about
somebody cares.
History shouldn't be taught objectively in schools. That's for the historians, the dates and what exactly happened. What should be told about history is the stories. It should be told in story format, dramatically, and it should be presented in a way that makes people get interested to look the shit up. But they don't do that. They give you the dates very early on. They choke you, right? This person was born in this year. Who gives a shit? What did they do? What are the effects of the battle of the Battle of Winterfell? You know, cringed out fans, made people hate themselves. You know, hated the show. People canceled their HBO subscriptions. You know, you go down the list. Nobody cares.
Cause it.
You know, if you make it in a list form like that, cause and effect and all that bullcrap, nobody gives a rat's ass. But then you listen to a very well-told tale. For example, let's tell you the story of Troy, you know, the fall of Troy and all that bullshit. And after you say the entire story of Troy, that historians have argued didn't exist, what if I told you they found the ruins of Troy? Look that shit up. And that gets you interested. Troy was real? The Trojan horse story could be real. And then you start looking up the facts on that. The pyramids, Julius Caesar, dude, like the career of Caesar, you can make a fucking drama out of it in class, right? And people would be interested. And Caesar leads to Roman Republic. Roman Republic leads to Roman kingdom that preceded it, and the fall after. And next thing you know, you're in this complicated web of history that is so delicious to consume if you just focus on what happened instead of when and how and why and what shoes somebody was wearing.
I have PTSD from history because history classes in my high school were dreadful. I remember the final. It was over 200 questions, and it was all dates, and you had to memorize. And
Ow.
It was so bad that somebody had to sneak in to the teacher's database in his computer, find the final find the answer key, write down all the answers, copy it, and then made a group text or multiple group texts for people to receive it. The only way that classes, entire classrooms, pass that class of pure doltish and memorization was through
Pointless.
cheating.
Yep.
That's how I passed it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. They don't do that here. They give you a chance more, but still, a lot of people are just so picky about the dates. It's just, who cares? Who gives a shit? I'll forget the dates a day after the exam's done.
I'll forget it a minute after this.
Like, the second the exam is done, the dates go away. You know what stays with you though? The story, the tale. That's what stays. And that's what I'm concerned with. Whenever I look up, that's why I love the amateur history videos on YouTube, hardcore history podcasts, stuff like that. The reason those are awesome is because they don't care about the dates. They never even mention the dates. And if they mention it, it's like a passing comment. Nobody cares. All you're required to know is the story, the legend, the tale, the myth, and I love saying those myths. Like I in randomly in polite discourse, I would randomly say, "Do you know that Sufism saved Sunni Islam?" And everybody's like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, and then I explain the story, and then it's hilarious because everybody knows this. Like the Sunni branch of Islam despises the Sufi branch, and therefore the irony that one saved the other is just genius, and that's a story. Never mention the date once in it.
Well, that's just because you're not very educated in history.
Well, yeah, that's the point.
Well, then, actually, it's funny that as you were bringing that up, it was bugging me, so I actually decided to look up the definition of an economist. More specifically, I looked up what does an economist do, and quote, they conduct research, collect and analyze data, monitor economic trends, and develop forecasts on a wide variety of issues, including energy costs, inflation, interest rate, exhaust rate, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, so everything they get wrong.
No, it's a guessing game.
Yeah,
They conduct research and dude, they're educated guesses. And you know what? That's fine. I just don't think it should be its own subject matter. Because like I said, every other subject does their own version of it.
Dude, when your own predictions get surpassed by weather forecast, maybe that's time to change disciplines. All right?
To what? Gender studies?
At least you get the video game journalists riled up, Something to laugh about. It can be classified as comedy.
If we don't need any more of that, trust me.
I mean, why not, right? Everybody's crazy these days. Might as well.
Everything hurts today. Tonight really hurt. That's the best way to sum up tonight. Tonight just really hurt me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come here, kid, get a hug.
I'll be honest with you. It was the video game journalist. That was the worst part, honestly.
You're new to this. You'll develop immunity. Don't worry.
It hurts, man. Like,
no,
wow.
Dude.
I thought gaming was the last saving grace. Leave that alone. Nope. Let's write about it. Let's complain about it. Why?
No. Dude, whenever video game journalists annoy you and you just start getting angry, and remember one thing. Virgins. What do virgins do?
If this is another fucking riddle.
It's not a riddle. Come on, man. God damn it, Louis.
You're asking me what virgins do? What don't
Yeah,
they do as long as it's not sex?
they try to lose their virginity. But how do they do that?
Yeah, they white knight themselves.
And what is that?
And it fails every fucking time. That's what it is. It's
That's,
desperation at its finest.
and the, and it's for us to laugh. Dude,
I
this is
just
free,
I
free
never,
comedy.
I don't know. I never took it seriously. Like there are people out there that report on video games. What are you gonna do? Report when the game comes out? Yeah, right? November 11th. That's when the game comes out. That should be the article right there. Right? Well, no, but the graphics look dated and this looks that. And it's like, that's your fucking opinion. What are you doing? Go make a YouTube gaming vlog channel. I can't believe you're
No,
a syndicated columnist, you piece of filth.
no, dude, there's one person in video game journalism that wins. That's the only guy. And that guy is called Yahtzee, and his show is called Zero Punctuation. Look him up. He is by far the best thing video game journalism has ever produced. He's a game designer, a writer, and a show host. And he's been hosting for since 2006. And he is clever. He releases once a week. He plays a video game, then reviews it. And his reviews don't have scores. They don't have video game footage. And all they are dick jokes while informing you about how what the game is about. And it's always entertaining, and it always gives you enough of an opinion that you need, that you come out of it with a new piece of information. Zero punctuation, the great.
As long as he's not one of those guys where I'm convinced that like IGN is trying to hire someone and the first question they ask is, have you ever played a video game in your life? And the video game journalist responds, no, I haven't. And IGN's like, you're hired. That's video game journalism to me. Like that's the process.
No. If you want to look somebody who does not shy away from politics, who makes a parody of the universe in his video game reviews, it's Yahtzee, Zero Punctuation. Let that be your high note. Binge his videos. You don't even need to know the game. It's that simple. I just click when Yahtzee releases, because every time I know I'm gonna get out laughing. He's entertaining with a punchline. He's just beautiful. He did an E3, and he basically walks up to video game developers and smears them in the face.
Oh, you piece of shit, Nick Bean. Fuck you. You're never gonna believe what he just sent me.
What did he do?
This is privately, but you played Cuphead, right?
I did. Well, I
It's
didn't watch the game played.
There's a clip of a video game developer who like can't get past the tutorial phase.
Oh yeah, that's
or, like,
fine.
Can't get through the beginning. And it's just 26 minutes of him trying to jump over the fucking. Oh my god.
No. Happy thoughts. Let me tell you about happy thoughts. All right. Okay. Yahtzee went and interviewed this. Come on, Louis. Come on. Don't sink into depression. You're gonna let them win. You're gonna allow them to win on your fucking show. Why am I pep talking you? Fuck you.
That's right. That's right. It's my show. It's my show. It's my show. That's right. It is my show. Go on before I pass out.
Okay.
Idiot exhausted.
So Yahtzee interviews this person who are making like a game like Overwatch, right? But with more melee focus. So he goes to them directly with the mic and is like, so it's like Overwatch, right? And then the developer's like, no. Like, a lot of people compare us to Overwatch, but we like to believe that we are like unique with our unique ideas and blah 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 blah. and then he looks at the characters, which look like Overwatch character ripoffs, like right. And he's like, "What's with the like multiplayer team games and the color magenta?" And he puts the mic back. And the idea, this is an indirect diss saying, "You're copying Overwatch. You're even copying their colors." And he's talking to the developer, just showing him that you are a dumb person, right? And then he just leaves. The interview ends after, and he just walks away. And he's like, well, that's another game that sucks," and just continues on his day. No honest general journalism, no great reporting, no objectivism. He knows what he is. He is a guy who hates his life for being in E3, getting paid to make fun of E3. So he goes there and he makes fun of E3.
That does make me feel a little bit better. Except when you remind me that there's going to be basically an Overwatch ripoff coming out, which is basically another Overwatch, which means we have another Overwatch in the world. Which means we have more people that are actively playing Overwatch and not Apex. That's the real crime here.
Piece of shit, you piece of donkey dicks. You need to develop taste, okay? Just how many years do you
stop playing your little shitty Pokemon games, which are all the same, and stop? You need to develop some taste.
I don't. I play strategy games. I play EU4, Crusader Kings.
It's a strategy game. You treehouse building.
Ow! Ow! Oh! Ow!
Yeah, that's right. You hit me with some kill blows tonight. Now it's my turn.
Oh, God damn it. Please, no. Cyberpunk.
Minecraft in strategy section.
Oh, God damn. No. Focus. Happy thoughts.
You're breathtaking. No, you're breathtaking.
Everybody's breathtaking. Does that mean Oprah Winfrey is going to be in the new game?
Keanu Reeves can bring everyone together, man. Put everyone in a good mood. Put a smile on everyone's face.
Oh, dude, I followed Keanu's career for years. I'm really happy he's catching his moment of glory. And it's not about E3 either. It's just, the John Wicks, the movie deals he's getting, motorcycle company. He genuinely looks happier. There was a time where you couldn't see him smile. Now he's like he has energy. He's pumped. I like it. If anybody deserves it after the tragedies, plural, that he suffered, it's Keanu. Good for him. I wish him the best.
Amen. Him and his dog. And his motorcycles. And that luscious hair of his, bro.
And his hover.
Can I have a picture with you? Sure. Oh, don't touch me, slut. You thought? Not getting half of my fortune today. Okay, let's end this before we get fucking flagged.
Yes. I think we've offended the YouTube algorithm enough today.
Hey, they deserve it after what they tried to pull with Crowder and Vox and everything. Listening to Vox.
Yeah, I think we've done enough today. Good stream, people. Thank you for tuning in.
Before we go, we'll go ahead and pick the NVC. We see Babushka coming in late. But I think this time we're going to have to give it to Invalid TS2 Official. Won it once before, I believe, but really kept up with the quality comments. Just kidding, it was all stupid. But I'll forgive a lot of your Golden State Warriors slander towards the beginning of the stream because I knew it was coming, so I prepared myself. But that's fine. You pulled through, and you talked about other things when it mattered. So congratulations, you are the MVC this week, week 8, episode 8 of the Salt Grinder. And with that, we will see you all next week, same day, same time.
Have a good one, folks.
Tell them what to do.